twice each month until now. And we've had a lot of disagreement. We've learned a lot. We've worked a lot with Tim Quinn, and there's been a lot of township resources put into getting us to this point. I think my agreement right now, I think we agree on the goals of this ordinance and the goals of the committee. And I think we can get to your goals that you're talking about today too, even with the language as it stands. If the concern is that the committee itself won't have the direction without it being specifically stated in the ordinance, we will have township committee members on the committee itself to provide guidance and to provide input from the dais up here so that they understand our priorities and they understand the priorities of the residents too. I think the fact that this committee will be made up of residents helps with resident participation, and that's just another way of achieving the goals we talked about. And then just lastly, from my own background, having worked in a legislative capacity before coming here, legislation, at least from what I've worked on, is usually generic and bare bones for specific purposes. And so we don't have to come back to change very minor details to delay different things. And I think we saw that with the EDAC ordinance earlier this year where we had to change it. And I would hate to see this new committee's work be delayed because of small details within an ordinance that was passed years ago. Because we have to think in that mindset is what will be the goals of this committee 5 years from now or 10 years from now. And by having a policy that's not in the ordinance that's being able to be changed and dictated by the township committee without having to go through a legislative process is sometimes quicker and more efficient than having to then legislate it and dictate it than to have to come back to it 5 years down the road. So I appreciate all the work you've done. We've worked on this a long time, and I wish we could have you could have full support of this, and I hope to see, I'm very confident we'll have a policy by August for the final passage, and I'm in support of the language as it is.
Can I ask you a couple of questions?
Sure. Do we want to?
Yeah. I don't know if we want to have a debate about what you wrote in your document. John, do you have any comments?
I do. So I will say, with regard to the issues that Kathy, you'd like to have in the ordinance, even though we introduce it as is today, we still have up until we pass it to change any language in this ordinance.
We do not.
Tim?
Yes, you do.
We do.
You just can't make a substantial change.
Right. So there could be some adjustments to this ordinance, if necessary. But I believe that the policy that will be presented to the committee, and as was stated earlier, the guidance from individuals, the elected officials that would be sitting on the committee, would be substantial enough to get the committee going. What I would like to recommend, and Mr. Mills, I ask for you to guide us as to how this might happen, but as far as, I know there's going to be some disagreement here, as far as the name of the committee, I think there's just Transportation Advisory Committee is better than Transportation and Circulation Advisory Committee, and so I would make a motion to adjust the language, and I would support that.
Make it what?
To be called the Transportation Advisory Committee and not have circulation in the name.
So to me, circulation is very important. I think it states a primary goal of the ordinance, not just talk about transportation. So I know you and I discussed that you thought that walking was a form of transportation.
It is.
My opinion is that oftentimes walking is not necessarily a form of transportation, because if you're just walking to the park, it's more circulation to me, circulating around town, biking around town. It's not necessarily transportation. So to me, circulation.
It's a means to get from point A to point B, so it's transportation. I just think it's simpler and it's cleaner, that's all. So if everyone else may disagree, and then, I'm fine.
I mean, I think it's semantics what you actually call it, but to me, circulation actually has some meaning, and it gives more breadth, I believe, to the committee itself. Anybody else?
with that. I agree.
No problem with which one.
Wait,
No problem.
Procedurally, hold on. Procedurally, there's a motion to amend the name of the group. I didn't hear a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, so
So now we're gonna have a discussion about amending the name of the group?
Yes.
Okay.
Isn't this fun?
I will pass my time back to John if he has any more time.
Again, for me, just the sound of it doesn't flow, number one. So that's why I'm not trying to be a pain. I just think that it just sounds cleaner and crisper. And if we're trying to keep things simple with this generic type of ordinance as well, I just think that TAC sounds better than TCAC. And so just short and sweet.
I would agree.
All right, so we would first then, if discussion is concluded on the amendment, the vote would be on the motion to amend the title first, and then subsequently to introduce or not the ordinance.
Well, the title of the ordinance, yes, Transportation Circulation Advisory Committee, yes, it's right in the title. Okay. So should I ask for a roll call?
Yes, you must.
So a yes vote on the roll call would be to amend the title, and a no
As
vote,
Mr. Arvanites suggested, yes.
and a no vote would be to leave it as
As currently written.
in the ordinance. Okay, Mrs. Emilio, please take a roll call.
Yes. Mr. Arvanites?
Yes.
Mr. Jarvis?
Yes.
Mr. Mancuso?
Yes.
Mrs. Wilson?
I'm on the fence.
This is the time.
I'll say no.
And I will vote no as well.
What was the tally? Did
3-2.
the amendment did not carry, or did?
The amendment carried.
Okay,
So
all right.
I will then I will go ahead and amend my motion to pass ordinance